Well, Jack, it feels like we were just doing this, recapping Notre Dame college football playoff games, previewing Notre Dame college football playoff games, the national championship. Now it's just some random day in March, and we're back doing this again. Not just any random day in March, though. First day of spring practice for the Fighting Irish. So just like that, we talked to Marcus Freeman. We saw about half hour of these guys on the field in the Irish Athletic Center. Beautiful day in South Bend, so I kind of wish the whole practice was outside, but the quarterbacks are really the only ones that went outside at any point today while we were watching. And Jack, like I said, we talked to Marcus Freeman. He had a lot to say about those quarterbacks, a true offseason quarterback competition. I'll let you get into that, and then we can talk about what we kind of saw from those guys on the field today.
Yeah, Freeman did say it'll be. He almost let it slip that it'll be his first true quarterback competition. He qualified it with saying between three guys, but I think everyone assumed it would be Tyler Buckner in 2022, Sam Hartman in 2023, obviously Riley Leonard in 2024. This is really going to be the first time where we enter spring practice really not knowing who that quarterback's going to be. Freeman said it will not be there will be no timetable to determine a starting quarterback. He will pick one when one separates himself from the other two, whenever that may be. It may be at the end of spring practice. We don't think it will be, but it could be. It may be during the summer. It might be in the last week of fall camp. So Freeman said he will announce a starter when one emerges from the pack, but he will not put a timetable on it. He also said that the quarterbacks, Steve Angeli, Kenny Minchey, CJ Carr, will split reps relatively evenly during spring practice. And for what we saw in those first reps, I'll throw it over to you real quick. We did not see the full practice today, just as a qualifier. We saw the warm-ups of the first four periods. It's not too much to glean from that, but we did get our first look at the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and they rolled out the way that you would expect them to. Like Jack said, you're going to see all of these guys with the ones at some point in time. Kenny Minchey, Steve Angeli, CJ Carr, they're all going to play with the ones because they have to. You're trying to figure out who the best among them is. You have to let them play with the best. And that's a whole separate conversation. Maybe we get into it today. Maybe you read it on blueandgold.com. There's a lot of guys out, so the best is not really the best. For example, Emil Wagner, I never saw him put on a helmet today during individual drills, and he's going to start probably at right tackle like he did for all 16 games of 2024. So it's a little bit of a weird spring practice. Marcus Freeman alluded to that. But with the quarterbacks, you have three guys from three different recruiting classes all competing for one spot. That's the way this thing goes, right? Steve Angeli's been here now for 4 years. He's trying to make this fourth year his best. He's trying to start for the first time. Of course, he started in that Sun Bowl a couple years ago, but I'm saying from the onset of a season, he's never been Notre Dame's starter. He's trying to do that. Kenny Minchey's trying to do that as a junior. CJ Carr's trying to do that as a sophomore. That's the way that they rolled them out today. Steve Angeli was the first one up to do every single position group drill, then Kenny Minchey, then CJ Carr. Blake Hebert is the true freshman, by the way. He's somewhere in this, but like Marcus Freeman said, Marcus Freeman literally used the word three. Yeah. So there's three guys going for this thing. Most people think it's probably Steve Angeli or CJ Carr, but I thought it was interesting that Marcus Freeman kind of mentioned Kenny Minchey today when he was asked specifically about these guys. He said, Kenny Minchey will tell me that he can do everything that Riley Leonard did with his legs. Probably not. Riley Leonard, the season that he had in 2024, so unique. All the touchdowns, all the first downs, just running by guys, running through guys. Notre Dame doesn't have that on the roster this year. So, Jack, I thought it was interesting what Marcus Freeman was saying about these guys are kind of all the same. Like, we're going to adapt one offense probably, and all three of these guys, it sounds like, can manage and facilitate that offense.
Yeah, I don't know about all the same, but he did say like they're probably more similar to each other than you would think. And I think if Kenny Minchey is the starter, obviously Mike Denbrough's going to throw in a few more QB run wrinkles. It's not that hard to install based on who the starter is. But like the general offensive scheme, Freeman said will be kind of the same regardless of who starts, just because the quarterbacks have similar skill sets, and it's going to be interesting to monitor as we go forward. And because, like you said, like Emil Wagner's not hurt, he's getting veteran rest after a grueling season, the longest season.
Played more snaps than anyone else on Notre Dame's offense during it too, Emil Wagner.
Absolutely, the longest season in program history, tied for the longest season in college football history, with I think three other teams from last year in the CFP. So with a lot of the returning stars gone, not gone, with a lot of the returning stars resting a little bit, all eyes are going to be on the quarterbacks this spring.
All eyes on the wide receivers though too, because you thought some of those guys who played huge roles in that longest season ever would maybe take a step back. Jaden Greathouse looked full go from the jump today. Jordan Faison, who just scored a lacrosse goal for Notre Dame on Saturday in a big win over Michigan, he was out there in a full capacity as well. I thought it was interesting when Marcus Freeman said, you're going to see more of Jordan Faison in football this spring than you saw last spring. Yeah. I think last spring he was trying to figure it out. What can I do in both? This spring, hopefully has rehabbed that ankle to a point where he can really juggle both, and that's what Marcus Freeman said you're probably going to see. So those are your top two guys there. KK Smith. So if you look at it from a perspective of routes on air, the fourth period and the final period that we saw today, you kind of glean who are the top guys from that, right? Like I said, yeah. Steve Angeli's throwing first. Well, I guess they're all throwing at that time, but wide receiver-wise, KK Smith went out there with Faison and Greathouse. Greathouse was actually running the boundary. Smith was at the field, and Faison was in the slot. So, again, this is not like you're playing actual football. You're literally just running four guys out with the tight end, who was Eli Raridan, because, of course, it was Eli Raridan. But you're running three guys out there, and those were the three, and those were the spots they were in. I thought that was really interesting. I think the wide receivers are going to be fun to monitor throughout this spring ball. Aside from that, the offensive line, until we see five guys across the board line up, I wrote some observations at blueandgold.com. You can go read them, take them for what they're worth. But we didn't see any team periods today where the offensive line is blocking for a quarterback and they're going up against the defense that's trying to get to that quarterback and all those things. So when I say that Charles Jagasaw was repping at right guard for a little bit during this thing, that's what my eyes saw. Who knows what we're going to see when we see an actual full practice come April 5th. So those are kind of the big things that stood out to me on offense. Jack, you were watching the defense. What'd you see?
Yeah, I liked what I saw from Madden Farimo. I came away from this practice. Obviously, again, can't draw major conclusions from this, but I came away more convinced that he can contribute right away as a freshman. He is quick and he is violent. Like even in a drill where he's attacking a tackling dummy, like he attacked that thing with fierceness that you really didn't see from some of the other linebackers in that drill. I love what I saw from Farimo. Jaden Osbury had a one-handed interception in a coverage drill. It was like shuffle left, shuffle right, attack the football. I thought that was cool to see. I think Leonard Moore has eyes in the back of his head. They were doing a drill where like a dummy receiver starts in a sprinter stance. The corner starts with his back to the receiver. The idea is like obviously the receiver's going to get a head start. Do you want the corner to kind of catch up and work on making up ground like that? More like caught. It's an intentionally difficult drill because like Christian Gray gave up a catch. Devontae Smith, the nickelback, who certainly looks the part, gave up a catch. Leonard Moore like caught up to his guy right away. Didn't even look back. He just kind of swatted the ball away with his left hand. I thought that was really impressive to see. Also on the defensive end, Jason Anye back at practice. He had a short conversation with Marcus Freeman at first, and Marcus Freeman said it was really impressive the work Anye did to get back to being a potential contributor, and he looked like he was kind of second in line behind like Gabriel Rubio, Jared Dawson among the defensive linemen in the drills that in the individual drills that we saw.
Speaking of Farimo, it checks out because watching him in those bowl practices, he wasn't even doing much, and you were like, okay, yep, that's the guy. And then speaking of what Freeman said in the press conference, let's kind of wrap everything up with that. Anything else aside from what he said about the quarterbacks stick out to you when we talked to Marcus Freeman for really about half an hour? A lot of housekeeping stuff, but maybe some interesting nuggets that you took away?
Yeah, I think his comments about the personnel department were interesting. He was asked about not even just, he was also asked about Mike Martin specifically, and he said like he knew people who knew Mike Martin, and that kind of drew him, like their comments about him drew him to Mike Martin. I don't think Freeman and Martin had a prior relationship, but again, Freeman knew people who knew Mike Martin. That's what led to his hiring. He did say that like when he didn't mention Chad Bowden by name, of course, but like when Chad Bowden leaves, like do you like go get another guy who's the same as the old guy, or do you kind of use the opportunity to modernize your personnel department? And no one is saying that Chad Bowden leaving was a good thing for Notre Dame, but I think that's always what Marcus Freeman is going to do. He's going to use adversity as opportunity. He's going to look at the positive side of things, and he kind of saw where college football was going and got more of an evaluator and more of a head executive than a recruiter at the top of the personnel food chain. And he obviously made some more hires to that personnel department to assist with recruiting, but I thought that was interesting for him to really say out loud. Competitor,
man. Marcus Freeman is a competitor, and you can liken that to, let's say you're in professional sports and you have a star player and he goes down and you know he's going to be down. Trade deadline's coming up. What does the GM do? He says, okay, yeah, we could sulk and say that our guy's down, or we can go and get somebody else. And I think that's the stance that Marcus Freeman took, was like, okay, yeah, we lost a guy who was very important. Marcus Freeman said over and over and over again how important Chad Bowden was to Notre Dame's efforts in a lot of ways. But now Mike Martin is going to be that, and maybe he's going to be that in different ways too, which is not a bad thing, right? So I thought that was really interesting too. And then I thought Marcus Freeman's overall demeanor, like, we're less than 2 months, or right around 2 months removed from, as we've said multiple times in this video, the longest college football season of all time. And yet Marcus Freeman, I thought, was like chipper today. It wasn't just a let's go through the motions type of press conference. He seemed excited to be there, and that's just who he is as well. You get on the football field with him for a practice like this, and he's pretty much the same guy every time. He's like, let's make the most of this. So, Jack, did we make the most of this video? Is there anything else you think we need to gloss over from what we saw or heard today?
No, I think that's it. We're so back. It's great to be back.
Shades on.
Yeah, it is great to be back here right outside Notre Dame Stadium, and we'll have plenty more coverage for you throughout spring practice, which goes on over the course of the next month.
Which means it's totally going to be snowing the next time that we have to do this a week.
It's been a great fall spring. That's going to end very shortly.
Yeah, so rain, snow, shine. We'll have another one of these the next time we see these guys on the field, which, like I said, is in about a week. But stay tuned to blueandgold.com for a ton of content out of today's practice, what Marcus Freeman said, and then we'll be talking to some players and coaches throughout the weekend as well to carry us into the next time y'all see us here. So that's Jack Sobel. I'm Tyler Horka, and we are blueandgold.com, Blue and Gold Illustrated.